I'm going to bring on my beautiful guest. Her name is Shannon. Hey, Shannon, how are you doing this wonderful night?
Great, great. How are you?
Doing okay. Thank you for joining the Gallivanting Like a Royal show. I'm your host, Duchess DJ Love. Thank you for sharing those photos of your excursions when you went on your cruises. And I put some of mine because I've been on a cruise to Alaska. So I figured you took care of the Caribbean. I'll take care of the Alaska Inside Passage. So what would you like to tell the royal listeners about you tonight? Let them know who you are. Shine a little bit because you're royal too.
Oh wow. I love to travel. That's one of my favorite things. Cruising is a great way to travel. It's affordable. You get to see a lot more places in a lot less time. What else?
Tell us
I'm
about some of your
married.
experiences.
I have been this last year, which was 2022, I took 4 cruises. Would have
Wow.
taken 5, but one got canceled because of a hurricane. And that's because I was trying to make up time from 2020 and 2021 not being able to go on a cruise at all. It drove me up the wall because I could not go because of COVID. So I made it my goal to make up for lost time, and I did that last year, and I already have one scheduled for this year, so I'm looking
Wow.
to get back in there.
So tell me what it was like when the very first one you went after COVID. Were you a little scared? How was the safety protocols?
It was not bad. I went several months after COVID, after they started back letting ships sail. So the employees, they all had everything kind of down pat. And we did have to wear masks on that first cruise, which was February of 2022. We took a 6-day Caribbean cruise, Eastern Caribbean cruise, and we did have to wear masks. We had to wear masks in port of calls. The Bahamas was very adamant about it when you got off there. A lot of the port of calls, they wanted you to show proof that you had been vaccinated. You could not cruise without being vaccinated at that time. Now they've relaxed that. They do let people cruise that have not been vaccinated. So, and we also had to test. We had to take a test to prove that we were negative before we were allowed on the ship. And so they've also relaxed that in the past few months.
Okay. Now, was it crowded? Were everybody eager like you to hop back on those cruise ships?
It is now because, yes, people are not afraid anymore and they're filtering back in. That first cruise, it was starting to get more crowded. I heard that those first few cruises were very uncrowded. People were a little worried about going back. The first cruise we went back, the ship was at about 65 or 70% capacity. The last cruise we went over Christmas it was booked. I mean, it was full of people. It was full of kids, full of people. I've never seen so many people on a ship.
So that was your Christmas present to go on a cruise, correct?
That's right. That was mine and my husband's Christmas gift to each other, was to go on that cruise, and we had a great time.
So tell us a little bit about the activities that you could do on a cruise for those that have never cruised before.
Wow, they have bingo, they have shows every night. Every night there's a Vegas style or Broadway style show. And of course it's on a smaller scale because there's not as many people, but it's a great show and it's included in your fare. I try to go and see that. And the comedy shows were a thing that I didn't know about until several years ago. I was like, who wants to go to a comedy show? Then I started going, and they'll have you laughing and have you in tears. They are so good. So I really like to I tell people, take advantage of those comedy shows. Take advantage of those shows in the main lounge where, they're like Broadway type shows, because those are included. All you do is go in and sit down, and you've already paid for it, so you may as well enjoy it. They have bingo. They have gambling. They have the casino. A lot of people enjoy that. They have seminars. The spa will do seminars on arthritis or makeup. So many things going on at all times. You have to kind of pick and choose because you can't do everything.
And see, I'd be in the spa every day, so it'd be like you have to come and get me and snag me away.
Yeah, because they have, great massage therapists. They do facials, they do hair and nails, and they really, if you want to go on and just get pampered, you can absolutely do that.
Well, Shannon, I have a question for you. Where do you cruise out of? Do you have a favorite port that you go out of, or have you been on different ports to take these cruises?
Okay. Well, right now, my last few cruises, I've gone out of Charleston, and that's for convenience because it's only 3 hours away. That's so nice. But that port at the end of next year is closing. Carnival is not going to be there anymore. They're closing up. There was a battle between the historic district, I think, and the cruise line. And anyway, the cruise line they're pulling out. So I like that port just because of convenience. Right. The port of Port Canaveral, I love because I wish I lived closer to it because it is so streamlined. It's so easy to park and get inside, and get everything started. Miami is another good port. You can't park at that port. You would have to, I fly when I go out of Miami. But it's another easy, because they do so many cruises. I've been out of Seattle on an Alaskan cruise about 6 years ago, and that was absolutely wonderful. I tell people, if you ever get a chance, please go to Alaska because it is unbelievable. And I'm going to go out of Norfolk for the first time this coming year. So that's going to be a whole new experience for me. So I'm looking forward to getting to know a new cruise. I have been out of Tampa, but that's been like 20 years ago. So I don't remember a lot about that port, but it was pretty easy too. So those are the only ports. And next year in January, I'm going to go on a country music cruise out of Fort Lauderdale. So that'll be my first time going out of Fort Lauderdale. So my next 2 cruises are going to be from ports that I've never tried before.
Well, see, that's broadening the experience for you. Yes. The Cadillac Man going to be on your country music cruise?
Yes. Did you say my Cadillac Man? Yes, he's going to be on it. Your mama named him that, Cadillac.
That's right.
Yeah, he's the reason.
Well, I've taken a cruise from Wilmington, North Carolina to Bermuda. I like the little small ports that you can go out of, and I wasn't aware that Charleston was shutting theirs down. I haven't taken one out of Charleston, so I guess I'll have to do that this year.
By the end of 2024, you can do it all this year and all next year, and then it closes. So okay. I would definitely, if I were you, I would definitely do that before it closes. I'm sad that it's closing.
Me too.
I'm really sad. I was hoping maybe that they could move it to another area on the bay there instead of being right down there near the battery. And I think that's the problem. Those people down there, they don't want the ship there. And I wish they could move it to another location there. But, it is what it is, I guess.
Well, darn, yeah. I have about 30 friends.
I didn't know that you could cruise out of Wilmington. I didn't know that.
I think it was a special cruise that I went on. I think it was, again, testing the ports to see, which ones would be functional, how it would interfere, or if they have enough people to work it. So that, I think when I went on that one, it was a trial run. Okay. I'm glad that I was able to participate in anything that, they won't need a tester. I'm volunteering to go, hey,
right.
Let's see if this works.
Okay.
I have about 30 friends that just left out of Galveston last night that's going on a Caribbean cruise right now. I was going to go with them, but I have my mom, who has dementia. So going out of the country right now for me, it is a little sketchy because what if I have to come back in? What if something happened and I couldn't get back? So I take those things into consideration. So that's I appreciate people like you, Shannon, coming on and sharing these travel experiences for the rest of us, because that way we can find out what's going on, because I haven't been on a cruise since COVID happened, so I don't know if they're safe. I don't know what they're like. So this is good information for us to learn.
A lot has changed. One thing I want to tell you about that has changed back pre-COVID, you go to the dining room and they hand you a menu. That
Right.
no longer happens. Your menu is on your smartphone. You can pull it up on the app, or you can scan the QR code at the table and it'll pull your menu up. Now, if there are people like older people that don't do cell phones, they do have paper menus available. But for the most part, it decreases the amount of items that different people are touching. And they have, they've always been very clean. The cruise ships, they clean constantly. And now they're cleaning and sanitizing even more. And there are hand sanitizer stations everywhere. There are bathrooms and sinks. They even put in hand washing stations outside the restrooms near the eating areas, so you can actually wash your hands and you don't even have to go in the restroom. You can wash your hands and then go get your food. So they're doing things to, lessen the contact. They've also changed the muster drill, and that was one thing I dreaded every trip, because they pack you like sardines, and they're like, used to, you had to put on your life jacket and go to your muster station. Then they stopped that. Then you just had to go, and so you would know where your muster station is. Well, and everybody would be there at one time, and you couldn't sail until everybody did it. Now you go individually. You and whoever's in your cabin, you go to your muster station, and 2 crew members go over what to do in an emergency, and you're free to go. So they don't congregate everybody together, which is really good.
I like that too.
That's a positive from COVID.
Yeah, I didn't like I say, being cramped in there with everybody. And I know it's emergency protocol and we need to know that. But I'm like you, I just don't like being packed in. Now I have a question about the dinners. When I went on a cruise, we had like two time choices for you if you wanted what I call the sit down fancy meals, or you can always order something from the little small restaurants. So do they still have the 2 dining options, or since COVID, did they make more choices to spread people out?
They have the early and late. Now, this is certain cruise lines. Norwegian's completely different. They have what they call freestyle, where you just eat whenever. Now, Carnival is, and I've only cruised with Carnival and Norwegian. So those are the only 2 I can really speak on. The cruise I'm going on next January will be Holland America. So I'll have some information on that, after that cruise. But Carnival used to have a early, which is around 6, and a late, which is around 8 or 8:30 dining. And now they have both of those choices, and they have this thing called your time dining, where anytime from 5:30 to 9:15, you check in on the app and let them know you're ready to eat. And you wait until they tell you your table number. You go to the restaurant and they seat you. So you're not standing around with a crowd of people. You can just walk around, and you have 10 minutes to get there once your table's ready. So that's another, it kind of makes things more flexible.
That is a good option. I like that.
I personally, and I tell my friends that have never cruised before, this is my personal preference. I like to eat a set time, and I like late, because I like to know who my waiters are every night, because they anticipate, they know you by name, and they are so friendly and so helpful, and it's just, I just like that. I like knowing exactly where I'm going to sit, who I'm going to sit with, and knowing who my servers are. It just makes it, I don't know, more pleasurable for me. But other people may feel differently. I like to go late because I don't want to stop an activity to have to go get ready for dinner in the middle of the afternoon to be ready for dinner by 5:30 or 5:45. I like to go late. So, but that's just me.
Now, you brought up an interesting thing. You talked about it, excursions or your activities before dinner. How does that work? Or do you decide those before you get on the cruise, or can you do it last minute how does all that work?
You can do it either way. You can go on the website and you can book your excursions before you ever cruise. Some things sell out fast. Things that are really popular will sell out. So if you don't book it as soon as you can, it'll be too late. You can also, there's some that never sell out. They have plenty of room, and you can book it once you get on the ship. You can book it on your app now, or you can go to the desk. Used to, you had to go to the desk to book it. And so they've made it so much easier where you can book things through the app without having to get in line and do things the old fashioned way. So.
Well, tell us about some of your favorite excursions that you went on. I saw you playing with the dolphins. That looked really neat.
I love that. That was my second dolphin encounter. The first one was in Ocean World in the Dominican Republic. And my husband and I, we actually swam in deep water in the ocean with the dolphins. It was wonderful, but I'm getting too old for that now. I was, a lot I was a lot younger then. And this last one, the picture you saw, my cousin and I went on a cruise in 2019, and we did Blue Lagoon Island in Nassau, and they grouped the sea lion, the dolphin, and the stingray experience, and a beach day and a lunch all in one. So you got to do all these wonderful things for one price. And whereas if you did them a la carte or separately, it would have cost way more money. So we really got to have fun with those animals, And then in Mexico, in Cozumel, I did an excursion I think it was called Marine World there. And I did the excursion with the manatees because I love manatees. And I think I shared one of those pictures with you as well. So yeah, I love it.
Well, everyone's commenting in the comments. So after you get off, you can review the comments and chime in because everyone's telling you hello. They're watching you. They're supporting you. They're cheering you on. And thank you guys too. I appreciate you guys being on. And I have a special friend that's in the green room right now. I see her. I want her to know I see her. I'll bring her on in a little bit. But I'm just enjoying so much about hearing about these cruises. And the reason I say that, I almost went last year on a Greek island cruise, but again, since it was out of the country, with Mom, I'm torn about that.
I understand.
Now this year for my birthday, everybody knows in July is my birthday. Hey, that's Christmas in July. My friends are still twisting my arm to go with them. Since it's going to be so-called my birthday present, it's kind of hard to say no. So I'm thinking about doing a cruise on the Celebrity cruise ship in the Mediterranean. We would fly into Rome, cruise for 10 days, and then fly to Barcelona. So I would get to see some fabulous places if I decide to do this. And I really want to. It's just we have to wait and see how Mom's doing. But at the same time, if you don't book these things in advance, you don't get a shot at it.
Right. And the prices skyrocket. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about the prices. Did you get some good deals after COVID? Yeah. Have prices gone up, gone down?
I knew that post-COVID, they lost millions and maybe even billions of dollars during the shutdown. And right when things started back, they were just about giving cruises away to get people to come. So we got several cruises super cheap. But now I've noticed the prices are really creeping up, but fuel has gotten outrageous. So they have to, they have to make up for that. Now they've raised prices of drinks and extras and photographs and everything. So the prices are creeping up, and I try to look for flash sales. I try to look for specials. And if you've cruised with them before, you're in their VIP club with Carnival, they will send you offers. All the cruise lines will. So I try to look for deals like that. Vacations to Go. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's a really good website to go to, and it will compare cruises side by side, and it covers all cruise lines. So you can see, what the most cost effective cruise would be. For me, I would rather go somewhere that I want to go than to just go on a cheaper cruise somewhere that I've already been several times. So I try to look for value and where I'm going to go and what I'm going to get to see. So that's what I like to look at. And the price is a big factor as well.
Big factor.
Yeah.
Well, when I took the Princess Cruise from Seattle all through the inside package, and we came back to Seattle, it was a smaller cruise. I went the last week of August. Therefore, you get better deals because you can't cruise past. I think it's the first 10 days in September, and then because it's too cold in the water and they can't do anything. Right. So you took a cruise to Alaska too. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay,
What
we
was your
went in
experience?
20, we went on Norwegian, and I had been on Norwegian 3 other times on other country music cruises, but those were chartered. This
Right.
was my first and only cruise that was actually through Norwegian. We flew to Seattle and we took the Norwegian cruise, and we had 4 stops. We stopped in Skagway, Ketchikan, Juneau, and then Victoria, British Columbia, and then came back to Seattle. It was absolutely beautiful. We went ahead and sprung for a balcony. And I tell people that when you're cruising like to the Caribbean and you're just out there on the ocean, an inside cabin is fine because you're only sleeping in there and changing and getting ready. But on an Alaskan cruise, if you have a balcony, you can sit on your balcony and enjoy those beautiful views, those mountains and the glaciers and the wildlife, the eagles and the sea lions. You can see all that right from your balcony. So we sprung for the balcony on the Alaskan cruise because it was really worth it, I thought.
I did the same thing. On the one to Bermuda, we took we had a little window. What was the port? The
The
port window.
porthole, yeah.
Yeah. But when I went to Alaska, I'm like you. I mean, first of all, I want the fresh air, I want the extra space. But while I'm cruising along, I want to be able to see. I don't want to have to fight the crowds, And I like that we could order room service. So we'd order breakfast in a room and we'd go out and sit on the balcony in our lounge clothes. And just that way you don't have to get ready so quickly,
That's right. That's
and
right.
still enjoy your view. And
Yes.
I said, you got your own private little space.
That's right. Your own little paradise.
Right.
And I noticed when we would go up on deck, the people who had inside cabins who didn't have that view, they were all fighting for a spot to sit so they could see those views up on deck, and it's cold, at certain times it's cold. So, some of them would sit on the inside at the windows, and we could close our doors and still see, that there were full glass doors and still see that view, or we could go out there when it warmed up, midday and sit on the balcony. So it's so worth it. So worth it.
Okay, Shannon, will you have any tips or tricks or hacks or whatever we want to call it to help these cruise people? Because you got everybody excited. They want to go on a cruise. They want to go with you on your country music cruise, whether they like country music or not. They're like, let's go.
I try to tell people to go with a good attitude. You're going to meet wonderful people. Ask questions. I've learned so much just from talking to people. So many tips, and every time I go I learn something new. People are always usually happy to share little tips and tricks they've learned along the way, as I am. And you just make the best out of it. Expect the unexpected. Sometimes things happen. Always carry a little first aid kit, a little OTC medicine kit, because stuff like that's scarce. It's hard to find on the ship and it's expensive. So that's a good tip I try to tell people. And explore your ports. Try to do something in each port. Even if you don't do a cruise sponsored excursion, get off at the port and get a cab and ask the locals, what's the best thing to do. And I like to research before I go so I can kind of know what to expect. So, it gives me more of an idea of what I can do when I get there.
Okay, well, what about us that might get a little wheezy on those waves? How does the boat?
In my experience, the ship movement is very minimal. The ships are so large and they have those large stabilizers. Unless you get in a really bad storm, you're not really even going to know the ship's moving. You're really not. And even getting on a smaller boat to tender over to a little island, even those rides are usually smooth because they're going to keep you safe. They're going to try to go around those storms and stay out of harm's way and make your ride as smooth as possible because they want you to come back.
Of course. Loyalty is one thing, and that's how you get points. And like I said, you get savings if you go with a particular line. Like you said, they want your business, so they're going to offer you deals, which I think is.
Yes. And I reached last year in February, I finally reached platinum status with Carnival. So I get a lot of perks that I'm so thankful for. I've got a long way to go to hit diamond, which is the highest level, but I'm just so thankful that I've got those perks for being platinum on Carnival, you know. And I contacted Holland America because Carnival owns Holland America. And I asked, I said, okay, so I'm platinum on Carnival. Do I get those same perks with y'all? And they were like, no, sorry, not at this time. But you know, it was worth the shot.
Yeah. We're going to have to do a promo so that happens like that.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm sure they'll take good care of me, even though I'm not platinum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they think we reel her in. She's already platinum on another one, so we got to keep her.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you go to other countries, like I know you've been to Belize, I saw the photos.
Yeah.
Well, what about your passport? How does the, you know, you have to have your passport with you? Do you get a little card on the ship? How does that work so you don't lose these things?
Okay, so right now, as long as you're on a closed loop cruise where you leave the U.S. and come back to the U.S., you don't have to have a passport. I have had a passport for 25 years just because I used to travel with work at flying to different countries. Mm-hmm. So I just like having a passport. Anything could happen while you're away. And if you need to fly home for an emergency, that's almost impossible without a passport, you know. So I try to tell people, if you can get a passport, try to get one. They're good for 10 years. And you don't have to take them off the ship. You just need your ship card and a photo ID to get back on. I take mine off because I like to get stamps in my different ports. Like I got my Bermuda stamp and my Grand Turk, you know, I try to get them stamped. So I do take mine off sometimes if I remember.
Right.
But, you know, if not, I keep them locked in the room safe. So. And customs is a lot easier now post-COVID. They're just like, come on, you know. They used to, it was kind of nerve-wracking because they were, you know, they treated everybody like criminals, you know, getting off the cruise ship, you know. Do you have anything to declare? You know.
Or you bring anything back that you shouldn't have.
Right. And now they just, you know, they just send you on through, you know, so it's a lot easier. I guess they can digitally track your purchases so they know if you made a big purchase or not before you get back on the ship. So, you know,
they don't even have to ask.
Yeah. So.
Well, I thank you for the valuable information, Shannon. This is fabulous. How would people contact you if they had questions after this, or, you know, you're on Facebook? How can they get in touch with you?
I'm on Facebook. I'm Shannon Sellers on Facebook. I'll be happy to answer any questions. And like I said, I'm going to try to start a TikTok series so I can do little segments on different things. So, you know, a lot of times people lose interest if you do like a 30-minute or a 15-minute YouTube, but those little 3-minute or 2-minute TikToks, you can cover a lot of stuff in that little bit of time. And then people can just watch the ones that they need and they're interested in, you know. So I'm going to start that up.
Good job there. I like that. I'll have to follow and learn more.
And I'll link that to my Facebook once I get that started, but I haven't started yet. I'm right now I'm gathering information, making notes, trying to figure out where I want to start. You know, I got to start somewhere. So just, you know, trying to get my topics narrowed down to the 3-minute maximum, you know, to get everything in.
And two, you can put them on YouTube. YouTube have what they call YouTube Shorts. So
okay, I didn't know that. Okay, that's great.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. This is my platform here is all about sharing knowledge with people because, you know, if you start up a business, you don't always have that much money to invest in it. So there's a lot of free tools that we can use. And that's what this gallivanting like a royal is about. Not so much that, you know, I'm royalty and I can just go anywhere and everywhere. That's not it. You can go places and do things on the cheap. You just got to know. Yeah, and the tricks, and like I say, you get status with companies and stuff. You get deals that way.
That's right.
Tell them, Shannon. You know, you have to.
Yes.
We're good with our money, so we're just not going to throw it away.
That's right, because I would rather. This was what I tell people. I would rather spend $500 on an interior room and go on a cruise than spend $2,000 on a fancy suite that I'm only going to be in to sleep and get ready. I could go on 4 cruises with that $2,000 versus one cruise in that fancy suite. So, I would rather go more and see more than to, splurge, on a fancy suite, so, and then I shop those flash sales.
Oh, yeah.
I can go more.
Well, we got to take a quick moment to acknowledge my sponsors. I have two sponsors, Nikki Cuesta with the Ladies of Leadership and Austin J. Haynes with the Power of Pure. Shannon,
Yes.
What about all this gallivanting like a royal show and the people that come on and the stories you get to hear?
This is wonderful, wonderful people, great people. And I tell you, I was thinking earlier, some of the best and greatest people I've met have been during my travels. I had best friends in Oklahoma, Georgia, Toronto, and, just all over the place that I met through travel. And it's just amazing at the friends and the connections you can make during travel. And, I believe that we meet people for a reason, and people are placed in our path for a reason. So, yes, it's a blessing.
Well, any final thoughts or shares that you would like to leave the audience with? Because a lot of people get this on replay.
Okay.
And they'll say something. So is there any final comments or how to get in touch with you? Any special projects you're working on that you may need some help with that you want to put out there?
Other than starting my TikTok to give people insights and tips to try to help answer those questions. If anyone has a question, feel free to contact me on Facebook, on Messenger. I'll be happy to answer questions. I have a friend who's actually leaving next week to go on her very first cruise, and she'll just pop on and she'll say, I have a question, and I'm so happy to be able to answer that for her. So she'll know, and not be so in the dark. So and she was the one I was on the phone with that night when Al said, Shannon, you sound like you're giving a class in there. And so
need this information. I mean,
yeah.
Like Marilyn said, if you're a little scared, you need something to give you that confidence and that boost. I can do that, because that fear will weigh heavy on you.
It will.
So you got to have something kind of even it out.
It will. And people, if you don't ask, you don't know. One example, I ran into a gentleman on our last cruise, and I was up at the deli at the buffet area, and he had just had dinner with his family. And he made a comment about the food. And I said, well, what do you think about the food in the dining room? And he said, don't you have to pay extra for that? And I said, no, that's included. He had been this whole week on this cruise ship eating every meal at the buffet because he didn't know he could go to the dining room every night and order from a menu. And I thought, oh, this is so sad. I wish I could help more people to learn more, so hopefully from now on, he'll know, oh, I can go to the dining room, and have different food.
Exactly. And down and let someone wait on you. That's the thing I like about cruises. You go and you're being catered to. You get a little pampering that you don't get anywhere else. You can let the hair down for a little bit.
Yes. Yes. That's what I love about it. I like the pampering.
Yes. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for your time. And a lot of these folks came on here just to support you. So
wow.
You got a lot of loving friends and family that care about you, and they're in the chat. So once you get off, go back through and look at those chats, because I think it'll warm your heart and make you smile.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate this opportunity to share my little bit of knowledge about cruises. I really enjoyed being a part of your show, and I thank you for having me.
Well, I want to have you back later. So you just
okay.
Working on those tips and trips and that TikTok thing so you can show it off and help people out, because you have skilled knowledge that people need to know.
Okay, I sure will.
You need to watch this if you want to boost your brand with a touch of royalty. Exposing the secret to brand success with Duchess DJ Love. Imagine your brand front and center in the vibrant world of travel enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, and personal development seekers. Duchess DJ Love's audience is diverse and engaged, always ready to interact and share. Her podcast, Gallivanting Like a Royal, dives into everything from travel tips to wealth-building strategies. Perfect for brands aiming to inspire and inform. With 5 books and coaching sessions under her belt, Duchess DJ Love offers insights that resonate. Her strong social media game on Facebook, YouTube, and her Wanderlust and Wealth Wisdom blog means your brand gets seen and remembered. Partnering with Duchess DJ Love means aligning with empowerment, resilience, and authenticity. And her advocacy for dementia awareness, it adds a layer of social responsibility that today's consumers love, ready for tailored campaigns. Duchess DJ Love crafts creative strategies, leveraging her multi-channel presence to amplify your brand. Boost your brand with Duchess DJ Love and start gallivanting like a royal today.